I guess we are ready to start. Are you ready? Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting, Tuesday, October 4th, 2022, the Town Hall Senior Center. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we don't have too long to get tonight. I think we could probably get through this pretty quick. The minutes of this, the Selectmen's meeting for September 20th. Take a motion to approve those.
I second.
Chair says aye.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. Minutes of regular Selectmen's meeting September 27th, 2022.
I make a motion that we approve them. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Request for a one-day special liquor license for the Loose wedding. This one doesn't seem, I read through it, seems pretty much cut and dry. And the police chief and the fire chief and every department has signed off on it.
Yep, also.
I gotta get to that page. You got-
I make a motion that we grant the special one-day liquor license for the Loose Small Wedding. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. Congratulations. Enjoy your wedding. Be safe. We are moving, our next appointment is at 7 PM. So what do we, what's the board's? What's that?
Number 6.
Number 6, there
Yeah,
will.
skip over that till 7 o'clock.
Go to the roof?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a recommendation from the town for the appropriation of a new roof for the police station.
Yep, so we received bids on Wednesday, September 28th, for roof replacement at the Trenton Police Department. Received 3 bids. The lowest apparent bidder submitted a bid for $43,875 as base bid. So I'd recommend the award for the project go to JJS Universal Construction Company. The project, we flooded $25,000 from a state grant, and the remaining from the balance of funds, or the remaining balance will be from funds appropriated for the police station repair last year.
I make a motion that we award the bid to JJS Universal Construction Company in the amount of $43,875.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Dan Dowd will be happy that his roof will be, he can't complain about leaky roofs anymore. Good. When are they gonna start that?
I believe it's 30 days after we issue a notice to proceed, so should have it done by before the snow flies. As long as winter doesn't come early.
Yeah, yeah.
They have the municipality bonds and everything, right? You require them.
Yes, yeah, that's all part
That's law,
of it.
so it's
Yeah.
gonna copy everything else.
So we still have a little bit, we're moving right along here, we still have a little bit of time before our 7 PM. Is there anything for the open forum? Anybody that has anything they want to talk about, or?
There's only a couple of us.
What's that?
There's only a couple of us.
No, I know.
You guys want to make up something?
Plenty of openers, sure.
We have a fall festival, October 22nd.
On the
on
town common.
From
10 to
10.
4.
4.
So if anybody would like to be part of the yard sale on the common or a vendor, we're sticking with local Charlton vendors, people who sort of missed out on Old Home Day. Reach out to me. My email's on the website, and we'll make sure you get a spot on the 22nd.
I could tie up 20 minutes on this topic, but
No, moving on.
Let's just
what's that?
we can just do the finance committee.
Go
right
with
for
the
the 7 p.m. appointment.
Yeah, let's go on to finance committee. So now we're gonna meet with the finance committee on special town meeting articles and the budget. I think we've all had a good time to look it over.
Yeah, and again, so, I did not file an agenda for tonight, and so we can't meet as a board. There are 3 of us here, along with Ashley, to talk about or answer any questions, or let you know from our standpoint.
Okay.
All right, so what our intention is we will have a Zoom meeting sometime within the next week. Next Tuesday, I think, is what we're going to plan on. And then we'll either support or not support, just like we're supposed to tonight.
Okay. That sounds fair. That concurs that part of it. There wasn't much, I mean, we've all read it. There really wasn't much. It's fall town meeting. There really wasn't much in there that was surprising, nothing shocking.
No, as I just said to you, I was very glad to see that Ashley and Andrew were able to fully fund our stabilization accounts.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
The increased windfall of the free cash, right, enabled us to do that. It's not going to happen that often, so
No.
let's take advantage of it when it does happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why the town's in such good shape that we are.
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing I had, Bill had reached out to me beforehand, just wanted me to express to kind of everybody in attendance, his position on this was essentially that, as long as we keep in, no problem with really anything that's being proposed, but just keeping in mind our obligations with the school based off the vote, and just keeping in mind to try to keep money in reserve, so that way down the road we have the funding available to cover that cost and other capital needs as they come up, so.
I don't think there's much in here that
Right.
really can be, decreased.
Not discretionary,
Like-
not
like-
discretionary.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Most of it, as you see, as we outlined, is you just try to stuff money away for stabilization, capital stabilization, so that way, when these big projects do come up, we can actually fund them directly versus going after long-term borrowings, or at least supplement the long-term borrowing that's not as big of a tax hit.
And I think too, if you look at the, I know that Ashley and Andrew have put together like a 10-year capital, okay? If you look at some down the road, we're not falling behind. We're actually in very, very good shape. The infrastructure in this town, vehicles or buildings or whatever, is actually right up to speed, other than, nice public safety building, but that's
Yeah.
that's
Fire
another
safety,
issue.
yeah.
But otherwise, we're in good shape. And I think, now having the stabilization, yes, if something big comes up, we have to buy a fire truck, we have to buy something. We're in good shape to do it.
Yeah. And if we ever do have to borrow, the higher our stabilization, the lower our bond rate.
That's right.
And that's
Another big
that's
plus.
common. If it's not common knowledge, it should be. So there's a very important need. Hey, Andrew, I'm still on, I guess you guys couldn't call a meeting to order, so I guess we're all
Right,
set.
so we're
You're
all
welcome
set.
to
What I
hang
want
out.
to do is go through each
Okay.
article and vote as to whether or not the Board of Selectmen supports that article, so that we can get it to the.
I'd almost, don't we need to do that with FinCom and hear their
So-
feedback?
Normally, we would do that at the same meeting,
Right.
okay? But we don't have a quorum, so we can't. But we will do it before it's time to print, so it says, Finance Committee either supports or doesn't support.
But you can share your opinion while we going through it.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
We
So
can
they
share the
were
opinion, but
essentially
not
already
vote.
vetted through all of these requests and are just in a position where they can take a formal vote.
Right.
So these guys will be able to talk on any items that you guys may have questions on, but
That's good
essentially
idea.
this is what's being proposed by the Finance Committee to the Board of Selectmen to bring forward. they still just have to take a formal vote of adoption, or a
Yeah.
formal vote of support.
I'd be more comfortable doing that all at once, but maybe I'm overthinking it. All right, we can go through
If
the
there was anything
articles.
complicated, if there was anything like, that complicated, everything's very straightforward.
Okay.
So you guys did take a vote at your last meeting, though, to
To support
support
capital.
these. You just didn't take a vote to say, yeah, the finance committee supports this
Exactly.
article.
Yeah, we,
Oh, you
the
did?
warrant wasn't,
Yeah,
yeah, the
the
warrant
warrant
wasn't
already
Yeah, no,
finalized.
we've approved everything to send it to you, okay?
Yeah.
Now you've looked
That's
at it.
different, all right.
You put it in warrant format.
So in
That
any
makes
case, there
me
will be a
feel-
discussion and we will disagree, that's when that would matter.
You just want to go through these, like,
Yeah, I'll go through them.
That's
So
perfect.
the first one would be bills of a prior year, and I thought we were almost gonna get through without one, but then we
We were in
had,
good shape till Monday.
yeah, then we had one come in Monday, and then I guess another one came in today that we're still
Yeah.
trying to evaluate. 'Cause
I don't know
was-
what department it is for,
Right.
so,
But that was for how much?
$675.
So in total, we're at about $2,000
Yeah.
unpaid bills from prior year, between two bills, one for conservation, one for department unknown at this point, so.
Mhm.
If
So
I
this one
can't
is
figure out
what
the
is-
department for the other one, I won't, I
Why
can't
not
make
have-
the warrant, so we'll have to wait till spring.
To get it out, yeah.
so can we just vote, I make a motion that we support Article 1?
Yeah,
Yeah, I second.
So I'm looking at 50 pages of this. Got it. Go down to, wow, it used to change a liquor license. Kill 20 trees. So we have a motion and a second for Article 1.
Yeah,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Selectmen support this motion.
so Article 2 is for interdepartmental transfers within the existing budget. One thing that we had was that when we originally approved the regional school budget, we approved our budget before Dudley did. So the overall assessment is based off of what I guess the lowest community actually supports. So we actually had excess funding in that article. So we were looking to just kind of reallocate that to some lines that have historically been, that we've been looking to fund at the end of the year. So that's why we recommended to kind of move some money into special counsel, HR contract obligations. We still have the DPW contract that we have to settle,
And
plus we have
two retirements, yeah.
two retirements that were unknown at the beginning of the fiscal year that we need to plan for, that are both going to be sick, payout of sick vacation time. And then municipal office, energy, utilities. We know that the markets on all utilities it's going to be a tough year. Thankfully, we're in some purchasing agreements, so we should be generally locked in for the most part, but we don't know kind of what oil is going to do, because the only prices that we get on oil are based off market rate, not fixed price. So we want to give ourselves a little bit more cushion there. And then same thing for municipal gas and diesel. That's all based off market rate. So thankfully, the prices have been going down, but when we were first looking at this, it was kind of like really still an unknown as to what the market's going to do for the remainder of the year. And as the chief had come in a couple of times bringing up about his plight of dispatchers, we'd be looking to move $30,000 into the wage line, so that way he can fund that sixth dispatcher through the remainder of the fiscal year. From free cash, our free cash allotment was $2.8 million. So moving $250,000 of that to essentially gain an additional year on our OPEB funding liability, try to knock that down and catch up on it. $8,000 to municipal office repair. This is because the library windows in Dexter Hall were about to fall out, so rather than having them wait until the fall for the money to be appropriated, then potentially wait for the winter till the work got done, we just used the money in the operational budget to do that work and then transfer from free cash, treating it more like a capital expenditure. And then the final line would be to raise and appropriate from the stabilization fund as we're doing our recertification of values based off of what we had initially budgeted back in May. We're about $700,000 higher in new growth than what we had originally anticipated in that budget. So similar to what we did last year, we're going to kind of capture a good chunk of that just to go toward stabilization. And that'll bring us up to that 10% of operational threshold that's in our policy.
That actually brings us up to that 10%?
So
Does it
that plus the 500,000 in the actual stabilization article will bring us like right over the 10% threshold. Like
And that's the threshold that would get us to AAA, or?
Well, so that will help us to get to AAA.
Yeah.
When we go out to bond, because right now we have the 2 million for the capping of the landfill. When we go out to borrow on that they'll have to re-rate us again, because every time you go out to long-term borrow, they have to re-rate us. So fingers
That's good.
crossed.
It's still good.
And since that was kind of like a one-time from Amazon, we figured we'll throw it into stabilization. It's like free cash, it's a one-time. You won't see that again, so.
And for OPEB, what do we, and I'm not going to put you on the spot here because I actually don't know the answer. Typically, what do we fund that every year?
We funded we funded 250 in the budget in May. So our thought process was, since we had the additional in free cash this year, was to fund another 250. So we'll have funded 500,000 for this year, which should put us at least a year, if not more, closer to what our goal is. So I think when we originally did it, I think it was like a 25, 40 year. It was a long time. So funding that will get us closer to being fully funded in OPEB.
I think this will cut us down to about 23 years or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So we had, our audit should be back in the next couple weeks. So when I add that 500,000, I can see where we'll be better, because they audit us every year. So I think that those years kind of change, but yeah, I think that will obviously help us a lot, so.
Great.
I make a motion that we support amendment, Article 2.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, chair says aye.
All right, so Article 3, we'll look at a postpone. There's no amendments to the FY23 budget. So I think we don't have to raise taxes for operations anymore than we already have.
And we're passing over.
It would be a pass over, yeah.
Yeah.
Still need a motion whether or not to recommend passing.
Article 4.
No, I still need a motion on that.
No, we need a motion.
Oh, we need a motion on, even though we're passing over,
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
I make a motion to postpone indefinitely. Postpone Article 3 indefinitely.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye.
Right.
Great. Article 4, the long one, miscellaneous capital items. So we tried to kind of break this out, kind of tried to split the baby here, because we always hear the two arguments between everybody wanting to consider every single article as an individual motion, and other people who want all of them at the same time, all of them at once. So we split them out as miscellaneous departments, fire, DPW, and police as each individual motions. So the first one would be cemetery, $20,000 to begin a design study for a cemetery garage. It's been something that's been on their capital plan for at least the last 5 years. It's kind of hard to give them a number for building a garage if we don't know what the garage looks like or what it's designed to, so at least start that process to hopefully next year get that project rolling. Cemetery compact excavator, that's a replacement. Fencing at the South Charlton Dam. We did have money appropriated for that under the from a prior town meeting, but that, when we put bids out, wasn't enough, so we had to bump that number up, so that way we can actually get the project completed. Glen Echo Dam repairs, this was this, I believe, was a gate that needed to be replaced with some other ancillary improvements, basically make sure that brings it up from a high hazard to low hazard. IT replacement and improvements, this one's been kind of a standard article each year to keep us up to date with our computer needs. One thing I know Jeff brought up to FinCom was that next year he's going to have to replace 45 computers to make them ready for Microsoft 11, because the current computers that we have are going to go out of date in 2 years if they don't do an upgrade.
And the lead times for.
Yes, plus the lead
Right,
times
plus the lead time,
and the
right.
amount of time it takes. And so next year they'll be doing another 45 to get them completely caught up. Library replace roof edge and gutters. This is to look at just doing the newer half of the building. They had a quote for $400,000 to do the whole building, so we're going to kind of look at this as a multi-year project to do the newer section first and do the older section next year. Replace fire alarm panel and then repair front masonry work. Those are very small capital items, but still meets the threshold for capital.
I make a motion that we support Article 4.
I second.
For discussion, I mean, the cemetery garage, I mean, I've seen that. I almost think you could build one for $20,000. You really need $20,000
Well, we
to study it? It's like a
It's
two-car
more or
garage,
less-
right, isn't it? It's not manned.
You can't build it for that much.
What's that?
You can't build it for that much.
No.
No, not even close.
Not 20, but 20 to do a study.
It's less a study, but more to make to render the architectural drawings for
Yeah.
it. So that way we at least
Then you
know
go
what
out
the
to
cost
bid.
is
Yeah.
going to be,
Right.
and then be able to put it out to bid. So we have nothing, we can't, unfortunately, asking an architect to design a building isn't free, so we at least need to start somewhere.
When I ask these questions, it's not because I don't understand it either. So these are questions that are definitely going to come up at town meeting, I'm sure. So it's kind
What's that shed company?
of. What's that?
Reed Ferry Shed Company?
Yeah.
You got a good one?
Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Chair says aye.
Motion 2, these are the fire and EMS articles. From free cash, looking to replace the fire inspection vehicle and $50,000 for Station 1 improvements. This would be to augment the $150,000 that they also got for a grant. The primary repair at Station 1 for this year is going to be hopefully going to be replacement of the concrete floor. That's pretty rough shape, so should at least buy them some more time with that. But replacing the floor drains, redoing the floor, I think his original quote was like $180,000 to do that work. So. And then replacement of ambulance 1, $350,000. That's coming from the ambulance receipts reserved for appropriation. So that's all money that comes in from as revenue from the ambulance service, just going to offset the operational costs, and that's on their capital plan for regular replacement.
I make a motion that we support motion 2 of Article 4.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. So moved.
Motion 3, these are the DPW articles, so they're requesting replacement of 2 dump trucks with sanders and plows. These are, again, replacement articles, or replacement items. think they've already been estimating a lead time of 1.5 years to get these, based off the current vehicle demand, so.
Those usually always take a while, but then they're like double
Right.
with the shortage now.
Yeah,
He hasn't even gotten his truck from last year still.
yeah. Yeah, so we're trying to get ahead of this one based off his request. And then kind of the late one that we got was that the vehicle wash bay recovery system in the garage failed, so his quote on replacing that was $32,000.
So that's been failing, he said, but they've been kind of like duct taping it. And the tech came back out to fix it this time, and he said, it's not even worth it anymore, you need to just replace the system, so that was his recommendation.
Okay. I accept the motion.
Okay, I make a motion that the Board of Selectmen support Article 4, Motion 3.
I second.
And for discussion, I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna argue with replacing a dump truck with a sander, you know, and a plow, right? We all know where we live. Right.
All right, motion 4, these are.
Oh, no,
Yep.
oh, no, we gotta vote on this one. We have a motion and a
Oh, I'm
second.
sorry.
All in favor?
Yep.
All right.
Aye.
Chair says aye.
Getting ahead of myself, sorry. All right, motion 4, these are the police articles. Replacement of cruisers, 3, this has been kind of a standard item each year. The only difference is the cost, and vehicle costs are going up, unfortunately. Replacement of cruiser laptops, kind of a similar issue where the ones that they have are going out of compliance. We need to get ahead of those, and those are pretty expensive laptops, unfortunately, with both the software and hardware. Station repairs, so trying to keep the continual repair and maintenance going on those. So we have $30,000 appropriated for next year as an individual article to continue kind of replacement of floors, ceiling tiles, windows, just all these things that are been going bad after 30 years of maintenance. We are looking at the HVAC system, which is going to be the next kind of probably big project, but still trying to get some estimated quotes on that. So that'll probably be next a project for next year. And then replacement of their digital hybrid portable radios, $48,000 for that.
I make a motion that we support Article 4, Motion 4.
Can I have a question? So when we're replacing the cruisers, so what happens to the old ones?
The old ones, if we don't have a municipal use for them, they are sold. Either sold, traded.
He's been holding on to the newer ones for details, and then he gets rid of whatever older detail cruisers he has if they're kind of beyond repair, because he'd rather put an old car than a new car out of detail if something happens to it. But usually he lets at least one go a year if he doesn't have a big detail use for them. But then remember, we do get the admin fees too that go to the general fund for all those, for all the details. So it kind of it offsets the cost of holding on to it.
Yeah, thank you. That's it, sorry.
I did ask a question about that as well, because and that will come up at town meeting. We just did receive 3 new cruisers, and I was like, why are they asking for 3 more now? And then you explained it's a 5-year rotation, the lead time's 1.5 years. I'm trying to think ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think they just took in the 3 cruisers,
2 weeks
I
ago.
want to say, yeah, I say either last week or the week before, from November. that they
Yeah,
ordered.
yeah.
Yeah, I think he's the first person to get a vehicle. I think everyone else is still waiting.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Selectmen support this motion.
The last motion out of that article is for water sewer. Both of these are sewer articles attached to retained appropriations from retained earnings. One's $35,000 for replacement of their forklift, and the other is $100,000 to repave their upper parking lot at the sewer plant.
I make a motion we support Article 4, Motion 5.
I second.
for discussion. Just one quick question, because this is gonna come up too. I'm okay with the first one. Just have a question on the second one. So sewer stabilization fund, 571, 113,
Oh,
future capital
I
projects.
think you're one down.
You're one.
Yeah, one motion, one article ahead.
Yeah. Back the other, last page, you're right. Yeah. Right here, sort of one.
Oh, we're on a fourth one.
Yeah.
All right. Motion and second, all willing to, take a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Chair says aye.
All right, so Article 5 is going to be transferred to and from stabilization funds. The first one, as we had noted, was for capital stabilization fund to put $500,000 from free cash into that, and that will be the one that will put us over that 10% threshold between our stabilization funds, but that money can only be taken out for capital purchases and requires a 2/3 vote. The other two are for the sewer and water stabilization funds. Sewer, $571,113 from retained earnings for future capital projects, and then $250,000 from water stabilization for capital project or future capital projects as well. And that'll bring the sewer stabilization balance to $3.2 million, and the water stabilization to $4 million. Just over $4
I make a motion that the selectmen support Article 5.
I second.
So again, back to my other question. The bottom two where it says sewer stabilization fund, sewer retained, future capital project, those are sewer department projects, I take it, not.
Correct, because they come from our retained earnings, they have to be spent on sewer projects specifically.
And so.
And they have to go
both
in front of
those-
town meeting
both-
for approval before anything's,
Yeah, so retained
Funded.
earnings is the same thing as free cash, just from, it's enterprise fund, so they have to stay within each enterprise fund. So sewer has to stay in sewer and water's gonna stay in water.
Okay. Because that might come up too. We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, chair says aye, so voted.
A little change to Article 6. We're actually going to request that the board pass over Article 6 rather than entertaining it. The original thought behind this one was that we thought that the police station roof was going to come in significantly higher than what we anticipated. So the bond proceeds, we have to spend that funding on a project. Of similar capacity
It's gotta
as the
be
public
for-
safety
Yeah, at least
building.
20 years, so that we can bond for at least 20 years, because that's be the same, because it's proceeds from the public safety building.
Right,
And it's more than 50,000, so we can't just put it towards the cost of the project.
right. Yeah, so
Thanks, Municipal Modernization Act.
ideally, we would like to, turn that money back and just
Yeah.
reduce the amount of borrowing that we had on that article. But, since it has to go to another project, we're gonna hold this for now and potentially look at other projects that we have in the pipeline and see if it makes more sense to put it toward those, whether that be the school roof or substation or something else that may come up over the next few months, but we'll probably consider this in the spring.
Is there a deadline on when we have to make that decision?
So bond council rather us spend it sooner rather than later, but it can sit there until we have a project that we can put it towards.
There's gotta be a time limit though, 2 years? No?
Now.
Oh,
It-
because we're still paying the bonds.
Correct, so technically I have 20 years to allocate it, I would imagine. But like I said, they'd rather see us spend it sooner rather than later, because they, when we do our finances, they ask us every year if we've spent it, and they ask to see what's left in the accounts. So they don't want to see it sitting there. So we have to allocate it to a town project that's at least, that I can borrow for at least 20 years.
I got a feeling that's not gonna be a problem.
No.
Just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, but we're gonna pass over that. Do we have to take a vote?
Do we have to postpone indefinitely? Is that what we're?
Yes, and before just postponing definitely.
I make a motion that we postpone Article 6 indefinitely.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye.
So normally if those proceeds are under 50, I can allocate them to the project. But anything over 50 is going to be voted at a town meeting.
No zoning articles?
I think we're
Hopefully
good.
nothing too controversial, so.
We're done, right?
We kept these fine people waiting 7 minutes after their appointment time. But we got a lot more done and we're all gonna get it. So thank you for that.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good night.
I know. Thinking the same thing.
Go behind you.
There you go. So you have to read that. You have to open the meeting and read that.
Okay, let's go.
You guys can come up and have a seat. So the Charlton Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, October 11th, October 4th, actually, 2022, at 7 p.m. at Charlton Town Hall, 37 Main Street, in the Senior Center room adjacent to the one, to act on a change of manager and change of stock interest held by, and I'm going to destroy your names, guys.
Abhishek.
Huh?
Om Maruti Inc.
Omarudi, DBA Oxbow Variety, Package Store, 3 Oxbow Road, Charlton, Mass. Anyone who wishes to be heard on this matter should appear on the date and time specified or submit concerns in writing. So I don't believe,
No comments, no emails or anything?
Nothing.
I don't believe we have any, no comments.
Andrew, do you have a summary or?
No, I'll leave it to these guys if you want to give an overview.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, Henry Simonelli, I'm representing the Oxbow Variety, and Abhijit Patel had the opportunity to buy into this enterprise, and he so chose, and he's doing that by way of a purchase of the stock. So we're asking that the stock purchase be approved, and as well, we're asking that he be approved as a new manager for the center. And Mr. Patel has actually worked there for about 4.5 years. And he's got other experience in retail sales. And of course, is the background check that you've gotten from the quarries that were run, which are coming clean. He has received his TIPS certification. I did not have that in time for the submission package, but these are extra copies if you want to review, and please enter one of them into the package. There's no change in the location. There's no pledge of the shares of stock. There's no change in the owner of the company, because the owner is the corporation. All we're
Yeah.
changing is the...
It sounds like he's just bringing on a partner,
Yeah.
formally bringing on a partner.
So, I hope you approve, and then we can get on with his business.
I thought you've worked there more than 4.5 years. But every time I go there, they're very friendly, very happy. He's gotta work 100 hours a week anyway, more than you, probably.
I'm sure.
Place is always very clean, well kept, they keep the parking lot clean, they do everything well. I'd accept the motion to approve, and then I'm looking at all the paperwork you have to go through from this point to the ABC, but I think that would be, that's the paperwork filing, but I would,
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the change of manager and change of stock interest by Om Maruti Inc., doing business as Oxbow Variety and Package Store.
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank
Good,
you.
congratulations.
All waiting for that. We can keep you longer if it makes you feel better.
He was probably more nervous while he was waiting than he was when he sat down.
I also have the publication.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
take care. Take care.
We don't, do we have the executive session or no?
You guys get prepared to vote on that instead, so you guys.
No, and I'd rather have everybody here.
Easy enough. Then
Is
let
that,
the note.
is everybody agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
I don't,
Yeah.
in case other people have questions.
Easy enough.
So
And
then
I'm
we're good?
only through about half of them, and.
It's fine.
A lot.
Just wanted to be prepared.
And then we are good?
I
We're all
make a
set.
motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor? Chair says aye. Barbara?
Yes, aye.
It's a wrap.